You are listening to the Keep the Weight Off podcast with Dr. Angela, episode number 21.
Welcome to the Keep the Weight Off podcast, where we bust all the dieting myths and discover not just how to lose weight, but more importantly, how to keep it off. We go way beyond the food, and we use science and psychology to give you strategies that work. And now your host, Dr. Angela Zechmann.
Hey everyone, welcome to the podcast this week. This is Dr. Angela Zechmann, and I'm here with Marshall. Say hi, Marshall.
Hi, everybody.
And I also have a very special guest, and his name is Dr. Alan Rader. So say hi, Alan.
Hello, everyone.
And I wanted to let you guys know why I asked Dr. Alan Rader to be on the podcast with us. And the reason is because he is my obesity medicine mentor. So he trained me in obesity medicine. This was like in, 2007 or something. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I just asked him to come on because he's been the foundation of my understanding of how to treat obesity. And what I want you to know about Alan is that he didn't start out in obesity medicine. He started out in family medicine and emergency medicine. And he spent 17 years or something doing that.
Yep.
And then what made you decide to go into obesity medicine?
Oh, the main things, first off, thanks for having me on.
Oh, yeah.
The main reason I got into obesity medicine, I very specifically remember I was working in an emergency room, and we had a guy in his late 40s come in with a heart attack and died. And when I went out and told the wife and the two kids that dad wasn't coming home, of course, they acted, terribly, like everyone would expect. And she looked at me and she said, "Doctor, he had a normal cholesterol. How did he have a heart attack?" And that really struck me. And I got to thinking, how can we explain that? And I got to looking at him, and his abdomen at that time looked like my abdomen. And we were both overweight. And I got to going back through the records, and sure enough, looking at age, persons having a heart attack, ladies tended to have more strokes than heart attacks. But there was definitely a connection between weight and premature cardiovascular disease. So in 1997, I gave myself the challenge that I was going to, one, commit to getting more healthy myself, and two, try to figure out exactly why having the disease obesity is such a risk factor for cardiovascular disease. And I made it's my life's mission to figure that out, which I think pretty clearly we have now, and made it my life's mission to help people lose weight and get more healthy. And that's how I entered the field of obesity medicine in 1997.
That is so cool. That's great. And you were practicing in Kentucky because that's where you were born and raised, right? Like we can hear the
Correct.
Accent. It's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's usually the I words that give me away.
So then you got board certified in obesity medicine.
That's correct. I got started in, and I found there was a national organization of clinicians that specifically were mostly full-time obesity medicine doctors. So I attended my first obesity medicine conference in 1997 and have been moved to Idaho January of 2000 and have now been practicing here until retirement just a couple years ago for I did obesity medicine for like 21 years.
Wow. And so you were the 245th person to get board certified in obesity medicine.
That's correct. The first in Idaho. And at that time, we had to take a written test, an oral test, an oral exam, and they actually sent a clinician that was board certified to the clinic and to look at your practice. And now to get board certified, I think there's 4,000 doctors now that are certified in obesity medicine, but now all you have to do is pass a test. So I actually think we had oral exams too. So it was a little bit tougher then, but the field of obesity medicine's come a long, long way.
It has. When I got board certified, I want to say I got board certified in 2011 or 2012, something like that. And I didn't have to do an oral exam. I had to do the written exam. And then I had to have a clinician come out and look at my practice too. So that was sort of terrifying. It's like have somebody looking at all your charts going, oh my gosh.
It really is.
Yeah. I guess my point that I want our listeners to know is that if you live in the United States and you're seeing an obesity medicine specialist, you want to make sure that they're board certified, because we have pretty rigorous training we have to go through in order to get board certified. And so it's important that you don't just have somebody who, they put a shingle up and say, I specialize in weight loss. You need somebody who knows what they're doing, because this isn't necessarily an easy disease to take care of. It's actually a very complicated disease to take care of. So now you trained me, and then you trained like 80 other people in obesity medicine.
Yeah, once I got into the field of obesity medicine, and I realized, just like I realized there was a need for the doctors, there was also a need to help some clinicians learn how to get their doors open on in the field. Because I would see people at conferences 3 years in a row, and I'd ask them how their practice was going, and they say, well, we haven't opened our doors yet. My goodness. So I realized there was a need there too. So for about 15 years, I actually had a side business of helping clinicians like you start learning about the field of obesity medicine, and then how to teach it to the patients, how to use medications when indicated. And then there's something unique about the field of obesity medicine is the psychology of it all. And, there's not a lot of psychology in cardiac disease or hypertension, but there is a big part of psychology in losing weight and trying to keep it off long term.
Yeah, there sure is. And that's exactly what we're working with when we're working at, when we're talking about keep the weight off, because it is so much psychology. So, yeah. So you were awarded Bariatrician of the Year in 2007 for all of your work.
Yes.
And then you were awarded a Master Fellow of the Obesity Medicine Association in 2013. So, guys, this guy is revered in the field of obesity medicine. He gets up and he gives a talk, and there's probably 50 people standing around him after the talk just asking him questions. Like he's kind of an idol. So I feel really super privileged that I actually got to spend a whole week training with him, and I have actually never met a more compassionate physician than you, Dr. Rader.
Bless your heart, Angela.
It's just amazing. So, what I want our listeners to know about is because I always talk about Rader's formula, because you came up with an idea for helping people understand carbohydrates and insulin in a completely new way. And so I want you to explain to our audience how that came about. Like, what's the story behind Rader's formula?
Well, it started actually kind of personal for me. When I went to my doc, and my doc was not experienced in obesity medicine, and I told my doc that my body mass index, I think, was 33 or something like that. And for those that may not be familiar, body mass index is just a way of combining weight and height to get a number. And he said, well, Alan, eat 100 grams of protein and X many grams of carbs, and keep your calories at like 1,500. And so I walked out of there, and it occurred to me, I'm a doctor, and I really don't have any idea what 100 grams of protein looks like. And I sure as heck don't know what 150 grams of carbohydrates looks like. And I don't even know what 1 gram of carbohydrates looks like. Yeah. And so I said, if I don't understand it, then I've got a feeling that the majority of people don't understand it either. And so I said, there's got to be a way to teach nutrition in a first grade level, so that we can picture it and we can understand it. And I come, as most doctors do, I come from a science background. And I thought, well, if I've got a concentration and I've got a volume, then I can figure out how much solid particles or mass there is. And so I knew that the average adult has about 5 liters, which is pretty close to 5 quarts of blood. I knew the normal blood sugar is a 60 to 100 on the blood test results, milligrams per deciliter for any scientist. And I multiplied that out. And then I found out that a teaspoon of sugar is 5 grams of carbs. And then I thought, holy crap, in my entire bloodstream, I have somewhere between 1/2 and 1 teaspoon of sugar. That's all. In a gallon and a fourth of blood, my blood sugar is somewhere between 1/2 a teaspoon and a teaspoon. If it gets below 1/2 a teaspoon, I get the signs and symptoms of low blood sugar. If it gets to a teaspoon and a fourth, and it stays above a teaspoon and a fourth, then I have the condition called diabetes. Blood sugar is one of the most highly regulated chemicals in the bloodstream. And I thought, geez, that's absolutely crazy. Blew me away. And so at the same time, this was about the summer of 2001, I got to thinking, well, that really paints a picture for me of sugar in the blood. But I wonder if I can use the same thing, calculation, in figuring out the teaspoons of sugar in everything we eat. And it was incredibly easy. And so I did it. And then I went in to see a patient. It was a guy that had been to see me 2 months, and he hadn't lost any weight. And I told him, I said, hey, let me share with you something I just figured out. And so I showed it to him. And the guy came back in a month, and he lost 28 pounds. I didn't change his medicines. I didn't do anything different. I just taught him teaspoons of sugar. And I asked him, I said, holy crap, man, what did you do? And he said, well, Dr. Rader, I took that, what you taught me, and I figured out I was doing like 28 teaspoons of sugar by lunchtime.
So common.
And so he said, so I changed, and he was doing, I said, what were you doing for breakfast? He said, well, I've been doing oatmeal because it supposedly helped my cholesterol level.
Yeah.
And he said, so I quit eating oatmeal and started eating bacon and eggs. And so I literally told him, I said, I'll pay for your cholesterol test if you'll let me check your cholesterol level. And guess what happened to his cholesterol level in 1 month?
I know what happened to it.
It went down.
It went down
100 points.
What?
100 points in
oh
one.
my gosh!
In 1 month. See, this is a little bit scientific, but people that take statins, the medicines to lower the cholesterol level, because statins inhibit an enzyme in the body called HMG coreductase A. It's a little scientific, but it turns out that when we eat carbs, it raises insulin level, and insulin stimulates the same enzyme that we take the cholesterol medicines to keep under control. So it's like, I thought, well, geez, if it helped this patient, I wonder if I shouldn't teach it to everybody. So as you know and remember, I'm a statistics nerd and numbers nerd. And so I checked the next 500 patients. I didn't change the medicines, I just changed how we taught them to think about carbs in terms of teaspoons of sugar. And it turned out in every weight category, from over 400 pounds to under 150 pounds, weight loss improved a minimum of 15% in every weight category just by teaching people teaspoons of sugar. Hey, can I tell you a quick patient story?
Of course.
We had a mother bring a teenage daughter in to the clinic because the daughter was already had gained enough weight. She fell into the obesity category. She had the disease obesity. So she attended her class, and I got a phone call from the mom about a week later that the daughter wasn't losing weight. And we were real busy that day. I didn't have a chance to call him, so I took the chart home, and I called her from home, and the daughter answered the phone. And we talked for a little bit, and we started asking her what she was eating, and I asked her, go to the kitchen. And she said, what? I said, really, go to the kitchen. She said, okay. I said, get the sugar canister out and a measuring teaspoon. And she said, really? I said, okay, get a plate. All right. And so she started telling me what she was eating. I said, okay, now get out 3 teaspoons of sugar and put on the plate. Get out 5 teaspoons of sugar, put on the plate. Get out 7 teaspoons of sugar, put on the plate. And just then Mom walked in, and there was a great big pile of sugar on the plate. And Mom says, what are you doing? She said, it's Dr. Rader on the phone. No wonder I'm not losing any weight. Look how many teaspoons of sugar I'm doing. And so it's when we can put it in visual terms, it's just from the person that's a scientist to if you can count to 5, you can do the teaspoons of sugar thing. So anyway, sorry, I got carried away.
No. I mean, I just love it. I love the light bulb that goes off for people when I teach them this.
Oh, isn't it amazing when
it is?
It just hits them. You go, holy smokes! Yeah, that's one of the great things about it when you see it. Oh, it connected.
And when you think about all of the stress on our pancreas and all the insulin that we have to produce when we're eating, like I used to have a bagel every morning for breakfast and orange juice, and I thought I was eating really well. I thought I was doing the right thing. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's 24 teaspoons of sugar first thing in the morning. No wonder I feel so crappy.
and and Angela, in some people, depending on their chemistry, they might be okay. And I think that's the reason that it's important to see a specialist in obesity medicine is to find out and see if you are insulin sensitive, if you are carb sensitive. And you and I have the knowledge and the skills to help people figure that out, where many clinicians that don't work in this area, they may not recognize or understand that.
Yeah. Well, I think it's really fun because I've had patients who are also healthcare professionals and doctors in the community. And when I teach them this stuff, they just like their jaws drop open and they're like, everybody needs to hear this, So it's just, I mean, we just don't learn this stuff in med school. We don't learn anything about obesity medicine in med school. So it's great.
We've come a long way.
Yeah, we have. Did you were telling me that did you meet Gary Taubes?
Oh yeah. I had, Gary Taubes has been a speaker at our conference several times. And he just,
as a matter of fact, Alan, he just spoke at our last conference on video. It was a video conference. Yeah. And he's great. And I actually did a podcast episode a few episodes back. I can't remember exactly which podcast episode it is, but it's called Conference Highlights, the Diabetes Pandemic. And I talked about what Gary Taubes taught us. So, so
he interviewed me and in his last book. And
he interviewed you in his last book?
Yes, he quotes me in his last book.
Oh, that is so cool.
I taught him how I calculated the teaspoons of sugar in the bloodstream. And he actually quotes me in the book and he says, I can't believe I never thought in all of my experience in researching, I never thought to do this simple calculation. He said, but he said, Dr. Rader is exactly right. 1/2 a teaspoon to 1 teaspoon of sugar in your bloodstream. And so anyways, that was kind of cool.
That totally blew me away when you first taught me that. I'm like, no, you're right. Blood doesn't taste sweet. Like, have you ever bit your lip or something? It doesn't, there's not a lot. I thought, when I was guessing how much sugar, how many grams of sugar, how many teaspoons of sugar might be in the bloodstream, I was thinking, maybe 10.
Yeah.
or 15.
Yeah.
1/2 to 1, and diabetes is 1 1/4. I mean,
One
that
and
is
one.
really, really tightly regulated. And so,
Now, if you think that's go take I encourage a podcast listener to take just a fourth of a teaspoon of a measuring spoon and get a fourth of a teaspoon of sugar and
uh-huh,
look and see how little the difference is between normal and diabetes is
yeah,
a fourth of a teaspoon of sugar. Now, that doesn't mean we shouldn't ever eat carbs, and you don't have to be afraid of carbs. You gotta know based on your chemistry
hmm,
what your probable level of carbohydrate intake is, and
hmm,
that's where your and my knowledge and expertise we can
hmm.
help patients figure that out.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So, and that is one thing people start, well, should I go keto? Should I do a keto diet then? I'm like, well, you can if you want to. You don't have to lose weight. You don't have to do a keto diet. So, um,
I think I
yeah, but,
like that. I think low carb and keto are big catchphrases, but
hmm,
but I think a better way to think of it is controlled carb,
yep.
and and think of maybe keto as the bullseye in the middle of a target, and then
Mm,
low carb is the next or two circles out, and then controlled carb is the next two circles on the bullseye. So a lot of people, I would even go to for tell you, I don't think most people have to go all the way to keto, but there
mm-mm,
may be some, and that's where working with someone that is knowledgeable and experienced, they
hmm.
can help you, and I could help them figure out if that's something they need to do.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. If you're looking for an obesity medicine specialist in your area, you can go to the obesity medicine or the American Board of Obesity Medicine website. It's abom.org. And we'll put this in the podcast notes so that you can find it. And then you just type in your zip code in your area, and then you'll be able to find somebody in your area. With 4,000 of us throughout the country, hopefully you'll be able to find somebody near you. So,
Yeah. And hopefully it's somebody that's actually been practicing a while too, because
mhm,
between you and I, and your podcast listeners now, okay, people that pass the obesity boards, they've learned about the science and the
mhm,
medication and the
yeah,
biochemistry. But I
yeah,
think a big part in why I think the reason that your patients love you so much is that you've done this enough now that you're experienced in the psychology
yeah,
of
mhm,
of losing weight and weight maintenance, and
mhm.
it's that I won't say it's the biggest piece of the puzzle, but it's got to be a big piece in for most people.
Oh, I think it's huge. I think it's
Yeah.
huge. So, yeah. Yeah. Understanding exactly what it takes to lose weight and keep it off it's a process that people go through, and it requires a lot more than just a diet. And so that's what I'm really wanting to help people understand is it just takes so much more than a diet to do this correctly. So, and it's a magnificent process to go through too. As you get healthier, it is so much fun. Don't you have, I mean, how could you have fun in retirement, right? Do you ever miss
Oh
those
yeah.
days?
Oh,
Do you
oh
ever miss
yeah.
those days when you would walk in and you would teach people something and they'd come back a month later and they were totally different people?
Oh, that's what I miss the most. But
Yeah.
it's still. We had a experience recently. I just telling you before we started. My wife and I skied 43 days this year, and we did over 800 miles on skis and over
Wow.
750,000 vertical feet. And we were at our local ski shop, and a young lady walked up to me, and I thought I recognized her, but I wasn't sure. And she had beautiful husband and 2 beautiful young kids. And she started with us in her early 20s, and she was, quite. Her body mass index put her in the class, well into the class 3 obesity range. And over the next 2 years, she lost, my recollection is 70 to 80 pounds. And now, some 15 to 17 years later, she's still in the same weight range that she was when we helped her lose it the first time. So she's done great long term, and she just wanted to say how much she appreciated what I did for her and her family. And man, and we were just we were in tears standing there as we were sharing and talking with each other. It was great.
Yeah. I mean, weight loss changes people for life. It just does. Everything changes. So it's great. Awesome. Well, Marshall, this is your opportunity. Do you have any questions for Dr. Rader?
My head is just kind of spinning right now because I just feel so fortunate to be a part of this, but it seems a little surreal.
Yeah.
So,
I hear you.
I mean, I'm trying to think back of, where I was when I first came into the clinic, when I first got the job. And it's hard because I'm not the same person that I used to be.
Yeah.
But, going into it, I was of the thought, eat less, exercise more, count calories, the less you eat, the less you weigh. And I didn't realize how messed up I was. So I've just learned so much. I just feel I'm so glad that you guys are doing this. And I know that it helps so many people because I see it every day, including myself. And I'm just not, it's completely changed my life.
Yeah.
And I love that I can just target the sugar part and not have so much other thinking to do, because really that's what I do now is I just use Rader's formula. Thank you for making that. It's making my life a lot more simple.
Yeah.
And then that way, that's the first thing that I learned, that I sort of had control over what I was doing. And then of course there's a million other things, that I've learned, but just thank you so much.
Yeah. When you think about, Alan, think about all the people that you've trained and all the patients that they've taught this to. And then the patients teach their families.
Yeah.
And I mean, you've probably affected millions of people by now.
It's been an honor. It's been an honor of a lifetime. I'm proud to say our clinics here in Idaho now. I always wanted to remember how McDonald's used to say, 5 million served, 10 billion served. I actually tracked pounds lost, and we're up over 650,000 pounds lost now.
Wow.
And I figure if I multiply that by 4, that means we're at 2.4 quarter pounds lost, not quarter pounders, but quarter pounds lost. So we'll never catch up with McDonald's, but we're trying.
Well, you can add 60 more pounds because that's me.
Oh, all right. So that's 240 quarter pounders. Yay.
Yay.
Well, congratulations. It is rewarding when you see the difference, and especially young people. I mean, I remember Awesome Austin.
I actually met Awesome Austin.
Yeah, Awesome Austin lost 100 pounds in 1 year. He ended up losing 150 pounds. He was 17 years old when he started.
Yeah.
And, I share this story because I've had his permission, but he told me, he said he went in to get a job interview. Apparently, the local TV did a little bit on him personally and his weight loss, and he went in for a job interview, and his application was on the desk, and he went into the boss, and the boss said, "Aren't you that guy that lost?" And he said, "Yes, sir, that's me." He stood up and stuck out his hand, and he said, "You're hired." He said he hadn't even read my application yet. He just said, so Austin called me to tell me that that happened, and
that's very cool.
That was
yes.
cool.
The week that I was with you, Alan, he was at his 100-pound mark.
No kidding.
No, I'm not kidding. Or
Oh.
maybe it was, I'm pretty sure it was 100 because I remember you making like a barbell or something for him.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah.
That was the week I was with you in 2007.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I didn't remember that, Angela. We took okay, don't laugh, but we took 2 containers and put on the end, and we used a carton tube from Christmas wrapping paper, and we wrapped it up to make it look like a barbell, and we put 50 on each end. And my nurse manager and I carried it out and acted like it was real heavy and set it down. And he picked it up, and we put him a little cash in each end to go, which we did a lot of times with our patients when they hit a big milestone like that, to go get some new clothes or something. So, he was, I kept in touch with him for a long time. It was a great kid.
Yeah. See, Marshall, what I mean about one of the most compassionate physicians I'd ever worked with was like, I was just like so impressed. So, yeah.
No, my heart is so warm right now listening to this. I just really appreciate that you and Dr. Zechmann, I mean, you're the same way. And I think that changes, I don't know, the obesity medicine doctors that I have met are way more compassionate because a lot of this is counseling. A lot of it is emotional. So the connection that you have with your provider is very special. So I love that story. Thanks for sharing that.
Oh, yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Alan, is there anything else that you wanted to say that I forgot to ask you about?
No, except to say that, all of us have our struggles. I just got back from, we did a 6,000-mile RV trip and just took another week's vacation not too far after that. And, I get on the scale every day to monitor my disease. It's just like a diabetic and checking his blood sugar. And as you and I talked about before, the science hasn't told us when we're losing weight whether we should get on the scale or not. I think it depends on how each person responds and what they say to themselves. But we know in lifelong weight maintenance, science strongly supports getting on that scale every morning. And that just reminds me, Alan Rader, you have the disease called obesity. And where is your disease today, and what do you need to do? And so I think about it. I think about it at least once every day, and that's important to me. And I think it's important, but it also, we have to remember, we used to have a poster that we hung over our weight. The scale says that the number on this scale just tells you the gravitational affected mass of your body. It doesn't tell you anything about who you are and how you're loved as a person. But it is a measure of your disease. And I don't have to be afraid of it. Sometimes I may not like what it tells me. It's telling me, hey, Alan, you need to get your focus back for a few days. And so we all have slips, but the secret is don't let a slip become a total give up and say that there's nothing that you can do. And Angela, I've known you for a long time, and I got to believe as much as anybody that I've worked with in my entire career, if there's one person that I would feel very comfortable in going into your office and saying, hey, guess what, doc, I fell off, then I know your heart, and I know that you would be the one that says, well, okay, let's see what we can do to get you back on that wagon again. And,
for sure.
So that's the most important thing I think I would like to share is don't be afraid to say my disease got out of control. So do our choices affect our disease? Sure, our choices affect our disease, but I'll bet every person that struggles with weight that knows someone that eats more than them, exercises less than them, and they're skinnier than crap. It's no dang fair. I hate that, but because I got friends like that too. But I know I can't do that. So It's been a pleasure and an honor, and thank you for inviting me to be here with you.
Thank you so much for coming onto the podcast, and I know our listeners are just going to be absolutely thrilled that you took the time to do this. Thank you so much, Alan.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you for everything you've done for me.
Oh, you're welcome, Marcelle, and nice getting to meet and talk with you.
All right, take care, everybody, and we will see you again next week. Bye now.
Hey, if you really want to lose weight and keep it off for good, your next step is to sign up for Dr. Angela's free weight loss course, where you're going to learn everything you need to get started on your weight loss journey the right way. Just head over to journeybeyondweightloss.com/free course to sign up. Also, it would be awesome if you could take a few moments and write a review on iTunes. Thanks, and we'll see you in Journey Beyond Weight Loss.